Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to break down the highly surgical strategies that food and beverage brands absolutely need to master to dominate the 2026 World Cup. I am incredibly excited to guide you through this because, well, we're looking at a playbook that maps out exactly how to integrate massive cross-border systems without stumbling into disastrous legal risks.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. Our agenda today covers 5 crucial pillars: the omni-channel trap, seats versus screens, the 2-speed OMO model, the IP minefield, and finally, 3 metrics for success. All right, starting with Section 1, the omni-channel trap, a once-in-a-decade opportunity.
So we are going to start by looking at a massive pitfall. But to really understand the scale of the trap, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of the prize. $40 billion. That's right, the 2026 tournament could add roughly $40 billion to the global GDP across the 16 North American host cities and their related ecosystems. With stakes that incredibly high, the pressure to go big and go everywhere is frankly intense. But you know that impulse? That is exactly what leads to failure.
And this brings us right to our core warning. The omni-channel trap is all about chasing generic hype instead of directing your capacity toward the highest return cross-border opportunities. The crucial point here is that your brand will completely waste its capital if it tries to be everything everywhere. You just cannot rely on nationwide retail expansions or generic bar traffic. You need highly targeted, localized execution that links tightly to stadium surges and very specific delivery rituals. Moving right along to Section 2, seats versus screens, the tale of two markets. To escape that trap we just talked about, we need to completely shift our perspective. On one hand, over in North America, we have the seats. Think of these as intense, hyperlocal microbursts of demand concentrated directly around stadium corridors in the US, Canada, and Mexico. We're talking about an ecosystem capturing over $8.1 billion in traveler spend. It's incredibly high yield, but it's short-lived. Now contrast that with the screens over in the Asian viewing markets. Because of the time zones, this tournament creates massive, scalable late-night delivery rituals for a multi-billion viewer pool. To put that into perspective, back in 2022, China alone drove nearly half of the global digital viewing hours. Half! You absolutely have to treat these as 2 entirely separate plays. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, the 2-speed OMO model, executing online merge offline. To pull off this massive contrast, we have to build an architecture that handles both speeds simultaneously. Step 1, use Asia as a digital sandbox. Fan engagement is so off the charts on these apps that you can actually test your product SKUs, your specific menu items, along with your creative and meal bundles entirely digitally without building a single piece of physical infrastructure. Then, Step 2, build a single creative and operational spine to manage both sides of the globe. And finally, Step 3, only after you've proven your plays in that digital sandbox do you actually scale into North America. And hey, notice it says temporary modular footprints. You are renting a brief 6-week tournament moment. You are not buying a country. You want partner-led setups, like existing hotel networks and quick-service restaurant franchises around the stadiums. You definitely don't want permanent brick-and-mortar stores that outlive the event. So how do you actually capture all that Asian digital volume? Well, you definitely don't build new delivery networks from scratch. You use massive existing fulfillment rails. Take Grab, for example. They hold a staggering 55% market share in Southeast Asia. To win the screens market, your OMO infrastructure cannot be invisible in the digital stream. The tournament broadcasting times shift consumer volume entirely over to on-demand delivery apps, which basically turns these super apps into virtual digital stadiums. And look, this isn't just theory. Let's look at how the giants have actually done it. McDonald's ran their 2022 campaign across roughly 75 markets, relying heavily on local delivery activations rather than just expecting in-restaurant traffic. Over in the UK, KFC used delivery-led TV idents around match coverage to make shared chicken buckets the absolute default choice for a home match night. Lay's and Doritos? They're leveraging on-pack QR codes to tie retail shoppers directly into home viewing bundles and food delivery vouchers. And honestly, my favorite example, Pedidos Ya, the Latin American delivery app. They use real-time push notifications tied to the live tracking of the championship trophy flight back to Argentina in 2022 to capture massive national attention. I mean, wow, that is exactly how you integrate seamlessly into the ritual of the fan.
All right, let's pivot to Section 4, the IP minefield, where compliance beats creativity.
Here is the severe risk. All of this brilliant cross-border strategy we just covered, it's entirely useless if you aren't an official sponsor and you choose to ignore clean zones.
These are FIFA's strictly restricted perimeters surrounding stadiums and fan festivals where absolutely no unauthorized commercial branding is allowed. History proves that if you try ambush or guerrilla marketing anywhere near here, it's going to trigger immediate merchandise confiscations, rapid local legal sanctions, and a total waste of your budget. When you're within that stadium radius, compliance must absolutely beat creativity.
Consider this your executive cheat sheet for staying out of trouble. For your language, it is totally safe to use generic terms like the big match or football night. The danger zone? Using trademarked words like World Cup. Just don't do it. For your visuals, you must never use official tournament logos or look-alike designs. Instead, you need dual creative DAM or digital asset management pipelines. Basically, this means using a cloud-based system to lock away restricted, expressive assets from your local cross-border managers, ensuring they only have access to a highly conservative set of creative for host cities. And for association, just stick to digital off-zone campaigns. Never, ever imply an official brand partnership status. Literally one slip-up can trigger a takedown right during peak match hours.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, 3 metrics for success, evaluating your 2026 campaign. To ensure this dual market strategy actually translates to real, sustainable business value, there are precisely 3 hard metrics you really need to track. These benchmarks are exactly what will separate the sustainable, intelligent brands from the ones that are just burning cash during those 6 weeks of the tournament.
Let's break these 3 down. First up, host city revenue share. Your internal target should be that 40 to 50% of your North American revenue during the World Cup period comes directly from your host city partners and nearby districts. If it's mostly coming from generic nationwide retail, your strategy just isn't localized enough. Second, match night bundle uplift. You want to see a 25 to 35% higher average order value, or AOV, on match nights versus similar non-match nights. This is what proves your digital sandbox testing in Asia and your squad bundle architectures are actually working to drive larger basket sizes. And third, and honestly most importantly, a campaign trouble count of absolutely 0. That means 0 IP warnings, 0 takedowns, and 0 force changes to your football-themed campaigns.
The 2026 tournament won't make you global all by itself. Really, it's just going to expose whether your systems actually work. So I'll leave you with this final thought to consider. When the matches kick off, will your cross-border OMO system be a localized, compliant, optimized engine running on real demand, or will it just be an expensive illusion chasing generic hype? Think about how you are mapping your partners, your menus, and your match calendars right now.